Well, welcome to another one of our videos where today we're taking a close look at the Woodchop, what some of the mistakes we see with it are and how you basically break the exercise in half to make it easy for the person to understand how to incorporate what they need to in the movement. So firstly we'll have a look at Nathan to show us some reps of what it should look like, what good form is like. So the main thing to see here is how he stays quite low and uses a really good weight shift. So the weight shift being the leg transfer, and then the rotation comes in at the end. So if I just go back to those, he's going to show us a couple of dodgy ones. So if you see here when he comes over, when he's here, basically he needs all his weight to be positioned on top of this left leg. All right, and you see how his head's really still. This arm is dead straight. We don't want to see any crooked elbows, like him keeping the weight close to him. He needs to keep his arm straight so that the weight comes away from him. That's where you're really trying to do the opposite of what we normally do with the deadlift, where we're trying to minimise the lever. In this case, we're trying to maximise the lever, and that's where we get all of the work through the trunk. But understand, the trunk is not strong enough to generate its own force. It needs the power of bigger muscles, and the biggest muscles you have are in your legs. So this leg is critical. If he straightens that leg at this point here, he's going to use his back. All right, and he's going to have a huge energy loss, and if he keeps doing that repeatedly, he'll end up with pain. All right, so that's the most important part, is to stay low. Even though this cable's set high, he's staying quite low. All right, so that's one of the big mistakes. So when we watch Nathan show us a couple of dodgy ones, so we ask him to show us some of the mistakes here, and then you'll start to see here, this is where we'll see, and he's having a bit of a laugh, where we'll see the shoulder sway. All right, so when they come to this point here, and this is where, see how his leg is actually moved over here? So his hips have moved away, where before he was over there. He's already moved his weight. Even though the load's on this side, he's already moved his legs to the wrong side. So there is no way he can transfer if he's already there. So the only thing he can do is pull from his back. And it really creates an inefficient movement. All right, so if we watch him continue on this, and then he over-rotates as well, and that creates excessive amount of shearing through the lumbar spine, which we don't want. All right, so he's sort of trying to get his weight shift, but it's nowhere near what it should be. So then he looks at another one here, I think. Trying to remember what he's going to do. Yeah, so then that's where we see another version of the weight shift being moved. So his hips being pushed out that way, as opposed to having his legs, his whole body should be over here. This leg should be the straight leg, not that one. Again, it could be poor timing, coordination, or it could be a real weakness in the leg. But again, we'll see that huge potential problems for the lower back, because he just can't get anything from his legs. All right, so that's the common mistakes we see with this Woodchop. So how do we pull it apart? So firstly, Dylan here is going to show us, well, we might just remove the arm component and just look at the leg situation to teach that person how to get a weight transfer. So you can see this is like exactly what Nathan was doing before. This is just really a lateral lunge. And we'll just ask that person to go from left to right and experience what they should be doing with their legs, so they don't have to think about anything to do with their arms, things that might be stuffing up their coordination and timing. They can just focus on one thing, just being the legs. From side on, you'll see how when he does this, how his hips move back. Can you see that? Because one of the big mistakes with this movement is people just bend the knees and try to stay straight. If he doesn't stick his hips back, he can't use his legs enough. All right, so this is very, very important for that to be done well. Lastly, then we put the arms back. So Andy comes in and shows us, okay, how we might regress the arm part. So if the leg part, to get it right, we took the arms out of it, with the arm part, we'll take the legs out of it. So in this case, we'll just teach the person how to get the full rotation with their arm staying straight. So in that point right there, this is where we see the mistakes with this, where people have a bent arm and they're trying to push it across, where they really should be swinging it across. Now, the other thing with this is that we also stop that over-rotation there. So Andy's almost over-rotated on this as well. I would have probably liked to have seen him stop a bit earlier. But you'll actually notice that he has this little V shape. This V shape is excellent. All right, so that means that he's not trying to dominate the movement with his arms, and he's using his trunk to do the rotation. So basically, once you've done all of that, you can then put the whole exercise back together and go to what Nathan showed you at the start, where now we've got the arm part and the leg part together. See that? And that's how you can break it apart to put it back together. All right, so a great way to learn the woodchop if you struggle with the coordination and timing. Just remember, it's mainly a leg exercise with a bit of core. And most people just think it's an oblique abdominal exercise, and it's not. It's really relies on the legs to create the weight transfer for the abs to do their thing. All right, so hope you've enjoyed that video, and we'll see you on our next one.